present kings, queens, gods, and goddesses. OTI exclusive. Dimensional being tied with another exclusive. Today's video gonna be about angel numbers, because at the end of the day, when we see these numbers, we supposed to act on these numbers. Like, these numbers is like higher frequencies. Of course, numerology, astrology, it's the same shit, but it also play out into that mechanism. So number 2, that's basically dealing with values, people, places, and things that we value, and shit that we want to like take control, possession over. So also when we dealing with this element, this is stability, this is practicality. So when you use these angel numbers, you're supposed to use them as your advantage, and you're supposed to ride that frequency. There's many numbers that we always gonna receive every day. Some people got a life path number 2. So that's basically duality. And that's working together to get the job done. Because teamwork make the dream work. It takes 2 to create a creation. So if you got 2 persons, you can basically create. No matter if you're doing it independently or if you're doing it harmoniously with two spectrums. So when you basically utilize this number, you're supposed to put this into practice, put this into purpose. Especially like whatever you want to value, as far as like money, home, security, because it vibrates with the Cancer element, which is private home matters, nourishment. But of course, if it's earth, it's stiff and it's fixed. But when you add that number 2, that's harmonious. So of course, you need a female to manifest if you're a male, and of course, a female need a male to manifest. Also, depend on which kind of likings of your presentations. So listen, also when you add these numbers up, 222 is 6. So that also comes into Virgo. We in Virgo season. So if you're not planting good seeds, if you're not being organized, if you're messy and all over the place, you're not going to be aware or alerted when you see these high vibrational numbers. Feel me? Because when you keep riding that frequency, when you keep doing something, when you keep paying attention to something, it's basically what you're doing is you're focusing the spirit, which is your space, your guidance, and of course you're adding your vibrations to it, which is your soul, your feelings and emotions. So if you adding good harmonious feelings and emotions to something and you paying attention to it, it's gonna fucking grow. Basically, that's earth. And that's basically with a water sign. You can also play with this too. So when your shit grow, when you're growing something, you want to see something nourished. You want to see something come into reality. So when you do this shit, everything is always going to work out to your favor. And it's always about how much attention and detail and how much energy you're going to put into something. Because if you're not putting enough energy into something, then it's not going to work out. It's not going to play into the spectrum. So of course, back to the number 2. So today, when you add all of the numbers up, you're going to get 2 regardless. So depending on what kind of seeds you're planting, or what kind of state of awareness you're in, that's going to dictate what you're going to basically bring into existence. And these are angel numbers. These are powerful numbers too. So when you use this to the best of your ability, everything always play out into the spectrum. Now, if you're on the opposites, and you know opposites attract, but you don't want to be attracting no negative ass energy. You want to make sure you're attracting positive, harmonious energy. So when you're doing this, what you need to focus is on basically what you want to bring into existence, what you want to take value and control and possession over, because these are all harmonious numbers. There's 2, which is also, you can relate this to Taurus, and also 4, you can relate this to Cancer, which is basically harmonious, and 6, Virgo. So of course, these all play out to the spectrum. These are all compatible numbers. These are all elements working together to basically bring what you want to bring into existence. Because remember, these numbers are your bitches. You got to treat them like your bitches too. Every time you see the number 222, or if you set your alarm clock, depending on what you wasn't paying attention to, you need to make sure you set your alarm clock. You need to make a wish. And whenever you make sure you're serious about this wish too. Make sure like you're very clear. And make sure that whatever you put in your attention to, you want to see this shit grow, no matter what the circumstance situation is. You want to make sure this is working into your favor. You want to make sure you're in the right state of mind, right state of being, right state of presence. Because when you're doing this shit, everything will work out into its favor, no matter what the circumstance situation is. Feel me? And this, feel me? A fucking religious person would be like, oh, numerology is demonic, but the whole time they got a fucking watch on their hand. And of course, what else they do? They pretty much look at time like they need to be somewhere. So you're already practicing motherfucking witchcraft on you by agreeing to the terms and conditions of being somewhere and working on somebody else's time. So make sure these numbers make sure you utilize them to work into your favor, and you're not just being naive and being passive and shit, because you don't want to do that shit, especially when you see these numbers. These numbers is powerful too. So the more amount, attention, and detail you put into these numbers, the more you're gonna get out of it. So it's all about how you utilize it too. And basically, 2 represents. There's always gonna represent someone around you. Now, when you add a number 2, when you add another 2, this is basically gonna be ideas and concepts about your surroundings and locations. Of course, when you add another 2, that's basically dealing with the energy spectrum. Feel me? Because one, you got your spirit, you got another spirit, then boom, y'all can create harmonious energies, whether it be something good or bad. So depending on where you're vibrating at, when you add another number 2, that's gonna be 6. So that's creations. So whatever you want to create, make sure you put your attention to detail to that number, so it can basically rain down. And then you keep doing this every single day, and you're gonna start to see your manifestations and everything play out to existence. You gotta make sure you consistent. They want to see you consistent, because the consistency is key. You ain't showing consistency, then your ass not gonna flourish. Your ass ain't gonna be able to grow your plants. Your plant's gonna fry out. It's gonna get dried up. Somebody else gonna take power and control of it, because the energy never dies. It only get reciprocated. So just keep that in mind. And that's basically it. 222.